Hey everybody, and welcome back to this X-Plane 11 stream. We're on the ground here in Shannon Airport. We're in a business jet tonight. Just cause. We get everything set up here. I do hope you're all keeping well. Tonight we're in the RWDesign Cessna 510. This be a business jet. So I call the stream, it's business. That's what we did. So this aircraft, it's not bad. It's fast and it can go very high. So our plan, we're going to take off here out of Shannon, fly over Waterford airspace and then head over to Cardiff for our first stop, and we'll see how we go from there. Any of these business jets, they're absolutely fantastic fun, and they're a nice bridge somewhere between our GA and our big tube liners. So with that said, we'll hop down, get everything set up, and yeah, see how we go. We had a great stream last night. We're up in Las Vegas. So we're back to kind of the mundane, picturesque of Ireland and the British Isles. It could be worse, it could be raining. Speaking of which, the weather today, we have scattered clouds as per normal, but there are some fronts moving in. There's fronts moving in there from the east, so I anticipate a bit of weather on the way. So, jump into the cockpit in this thing. Make sure all my views are working. Hello people, here's some people. I didn't know they were there. Scared the pants off me. Anyway, so a big fancy glass cockpit here greets us. One or two steam instruments, nothing too major. We do have a menu down here on the folder that says menu. Now, we'll move this to one side because I'm sure my head is in the way. So with our menu here, we can turn on and off the weather effects, disable the screen vignetting, disable these guys in the back. Yeah, we'll leave them there. Toggle the yoke, turn on the flashlight, ground power unit. We can control our doors, we can control our weight and balance, and a full checklist. So there'll be plenty of stuff there. Lots and lots. Just checking on these settings. I know yesterday, for whatever reason, there was a bit of a lag between me talking and my voice. Now I don't know what it was like in the stream, but that's the way the video uploaded to YouTube. So if I look like I'm doing this and then you hear a voice, let me know in the old description, because it's super annoying. Anyway, how do we get this thing moving? Well, I suppose the first thing is we're going to close our doors here. So if we go down to our exterior and the doors, move this guy over, close the front door, close the baggage door, and close the rear door. And as we can see, all the graphics appear here on this little cool setup. So our weight and balance is already set. As I said, our flight is going to take us from Shannon over across Waterford and then over to Cardiff Airport, in which we have the Orbex Cardiff Airport installed, and it is lovely. So there's no overhead panel except for some lights. And we got to keep it down because they look very, very busy. And I don't know why that engine is spinning, because we should be cold and dark. You'll notice there is not a click spot. So I think just as we get this thing powered up, we'll disappear that. What do you reckon? Okay, so to fly this thing, yeesh, let's figure it all out. Well, there's our battery. Isn't that pretty? Okay. Leave our gens away for a minute. Avionics. We'll leave our avionics on. Pack safety. Turn all them on. Beacon light can come on. Anti-collision lights come on. Nav lights, wing inspection, won't need them. Panel lights, oh very nice. And we have a, oh that is handy. I hate when you have the G1000 and you can't dim it because you go flying at night time. It's super annoying. So that's handy. Turn off this master warning. Get our lights on here now. So I haven't flown this much, as you can probably tell. So let's make sure we have 1 second. Joystick. Is it airliner we have it set to? No, that's not right. Throttle. Throttle 1, throttle 2. Okay. Interesting. Oh, here's live. Ah, very good. So fuel cut off. See, right. How do we undo that? There's got to be a way around it, right? Oh, there is. Look underneath. So it's like the no, don't you? It's like the other gadget. The what you call it? You know the name of it. The Caronado one. Yes, it's like the Caronado one. The one that sounds like a vacuum. So cockpit temperature, all lights and all oxygen and air conditioning and all that is all grand. So nothing too schmancy here. Our plan is to get the aircraft started. We'll set through our quick flight plan, set up our autopilot, and then bug on out. So let us see. Right generator, leave them off for the minute. Standby power, ignition, fuel transfer, boosts. So we'll boost on the right engine. And we'll go for ignition. Nope. Fuel transfer, windshield. Standby instruments are on. Ignition. Ah, see this. Engine start, right hand side. So we see our N2 and N1 rising. As soon as this does, we need to kind of hop down here to this guy. Here's fuel coming in. We can hear that engine spooling up here nicely. Kenneth Fitzpatrick, thanks for joining us here this evening. The graphics savage on the aircraft. They are quite nice. Once we get it started up, we'll jump outside and see what we can see. So ignition on the left. And put on our boosters on the left as well. We'll go for left engine start. We have N2 rising, PSI coming up. I'm just waiting now to add a bit of fuel. Like that. And we have a good start on our left engine. Not too shabby. Alrighty, so we want to go ahead and do some sort of a flight plan. Let's see here now. We can do it for either or, but we'll jump over here and do it, I suppose. So we want to go to flight plan, and we're going to go, yeah. Let's see now. So our next one is going to be, and I'll come back here now. So we're going to be Echo, or it could be machine. Echo, India. Who said whiskey? Whiskey. Foxtrot, Waterford. Super. Enter. So Shannon, Waterford, and then we're going to go to Cardiff, which will be Echo, Golf, Foxtrot. Super. That is our little plan. Transponder, we're just going to set up a pretend one. Code, let's go with 3201. Transponder can go to on. Back here, CDI, OBS. OBS track is fine. CDI, VOR, VOR2, and GPS. We'll stick with the GPS. Inset and all that looks grand. You guys ready to go? Yep, they're ready to go. So with that said, ignition, I'm pretty sure we can put these back to normal. Our boost pumps can come back off. Windshield anti-ice, might as well put them on. Wing stab, no, don't need them. Anti-skid, on. Let's see now, gens. There we go. Pressure. Keep that normal. Wing inspection lights, don't worry about them. Cockpit temperature, grand. Source, both. So here's our pressurization coming in. Air conditioning. Sure, we'll turn it on just to keep them all happy. Now there is an engine sync here, but we'll leave it for the moment. I don't think we need it. That camera is a mind of its own. And we want to go back here now and get our yokes back, which would be this. Okay, cool. Let's jump outside and see how everything is looking. So yeah, the modelling and texture work in this airplane, they look fantastic. It's a really nice, cool business jet. Nice and small. There's Ben. Good evening to you, Ben. This is such a fun plane. It really is. I haven't... Oh, there's a... Janie. There's all sorts of noises there, guys. They're notifications, so I can't see them yet. Oh, wait, can I? No, I can't see them yet. So I'm still figuring out my my streaming stuff, guys. So bear with me, but a hey good buddy means a subscriber. So we'll see the alert. And it's Ben. You're very welcome, Ben. Thanks for subscribing to the channel, dude. You know, if you've heard of amateurs, take a step but 10 paces that way. You'll find where this channel's at the minute. It's all good fun though. So this airplane is really cool, and there's a lot of nice detail gone into it, like anything from the antennas and different bits and bobs we have up here in the on the top of the aircraft. The tail wing looks, it just looks fantastic. Nice beacon lights, and yeah, this should be good fun. So what we're going to do, we're going to get our parking brake off, and we're just going to taxi ourselves out here a little bit. So we have our landing lights on. Bit of power just to keep us moving forward here. We'll move across here on the ground. So our flight directors are already on. Our altitude setting. Okay, so we can't roll it. So this thing is fast, and we're going to go fairly high. So we'll keep it at 18,000. Yeah, we'll keep it at 18,000. Heading, we'll reset that now in a second. Keep all that. Yaw dampener, worry about that later on. Super duper. Our barrow does not seem right here. So before we go too far, hit the brakes here. Don't mind the passengers in the back, they'll get over it. Barrow here is going to be 2999er. What is our barrel here, guys? 3001. 3001, and we should have one of the old ones here. 30. Oh, grand, they're connected. Isn't that handy? Alrighty, we continue. Them alerts, it's just like, by the time I hear them and you guys, we'll have to wait and see. And I have to ask you, is there a delay between me yapping and the audio? Just so I can figure it out in the stream. Ben says, I stumbled on your YouTube video of the Lodestar, so I figured I should sub since you were streaming one of my favourite business jets. Well, that's fantastic. You are very welcome. The Lodestar is, it's cool. It's a cool plane. I'm probably going to pick up the Junkers 52. That's the other plane that dev makes, Oliac Sim, just to try it out. So earlier on I was messing around with the IXEG, and I'm painful on that. I can know the procedures and whatever else I can follow. It's just, unless you're flying online, it's kind of boring, and well, I'm just not going to fly online just yet. It'd be like, okay, welcome to the party, and your username, very good, and this is your first flight, okay, yeah, okay, and yeah, you're banned. Learn how to fly and then come back to us. Okay. So we shan't worry. So we're taxiing nicely here. Shannon Airport here. There's our peoples in our plane looking out. Seems okay. Thanks very much. That is all fantastic. G4K5 7K FJ. Is there perchance a different name you would like to be called? Or how would one like to pronounce said name? I can use it, you know, phonetically. Golf 4 Kilo Foxtrot Juliet Victor Echo 7 Kilo Foxtrot Juliet. Entirely up to yourself. Entirely up to you. Video and audio are synced. That's great, guys. Thanks very much. So I can blame the people at YouTube. Not that they'll listen, but what are you going to do? This thing is lively. So on our stream last night, we were having a look at Las Vegas from Flight Tampa, and I've seen there today on Facebook and Twitter and whatever else, everyone is saying, yeah, it's great, fantastic, but the performance is a bit of an issue. When is the new BizJet Concorde coming out? A BizJet Concorde. There's one I'm really looking forward to is from it's the Falcon, and it is Aerobasque. They're working on it since last year, and some of the pictures on this thing look fantastic, so that's definitely one I'm looking forward to. And I think, you know, guys, as far as I know, we're into our GA low and slow. The BizJets are the nice bridge between, well, this and your tube liners, your 737s and A320s and upwards. So they're not too bad. They're kind of on the limit of what I'm comfortable with. Now we're not going to need to turn left here on the runway because we don't need a whole lot of runway. And as I've mentioned before, Shannon was once a backup runway for the space shuttle, an emergency landing runway, because it's long enough, and obviously it's location and it's safe because it's near the Atlantic and whatnot. So the toe brakes certainly work. Get ourselves lined up here on the runway. Okay, so before we blast on out of here, just get ourselves lined up. Lovely. Toe brakes on, and just have a quick check around just to make sure everything is set the way we want to do. So lights are all set. Have them wing inspection lights turned off. We don't need them. The gear down. Leave that where it is. We might need that. Pitot static on. It's already on. Fuel tanks. Fuel transfer off. Left tank, right tank. We'll keep an eye on our fuel as we go. Here is a caution light. I imagine that was just the test for our Pitot, or Pitot as we call them. Vegas was amazing, thank you. You're very welcome. Yeah, that was great fun last night. Okay, without further ado, I do believe we are ready. Flaps for takeoff. Not that we'll need them. Okay, flaps are set. Foot brakes coming off. Bringing our throttles up. And stabilize here around 45. And toga. Power set. Airspeed alive. There's 80. There's 90. And rotate this one. That was sporty. Positive rate. Gear coming up. Up to 300 feet. Bring our flaps back in. This thing is a rocket. It's an absolute rocket. There's 150 knots. There's our middle marker light coming out of Shannon. A little bit bumpy here, small bit of wind to contend with. We're at 1,000 feet here, there now. Can't select my yaw dampener from here. As we get ourselves trimmed up. We'll continue on our runway heading. Yaw dampener on. That'll chill our people out here in the back, so there's no sudden jumpings around. Okay, so a quick jump over here to our autopilot. And what we want to do now, we're going to go straight to here. Direct to mode. Activate. Go ahead, turn on our autopilot. Nav mode. Here's the bank. Our altitude is set. We're going to go here for a V speed, which is here. It'll hold probably 3,500 feet, but we can certainly lower that to something a bit more comfortable. We'll stay at around 2,200 feet per minute. Speed. We don't need to worry about speed at the minute. We're on a fast takeoff here, so everything looking as it should. Hop outside here for a flyby. Yeah, the sounds aren't too bad. Maybe we can work on them. So that's where these little things belong, in the sky. I have to say, it's one aircraft I haven't seen an awful lot of videos on, and I picked it up after I watched Cat Strider flying it. And I have to say, it's such a fun little plane, and the performance out of it on your machine, like, it's very frame rate friendly, which is always good. So watch our speed here. So engines go back into climb mode. We're coming up on 10,000 feet. We're above the clouds. I'm not sure we'll get next rad information on it, but we'll see how we go. Now, if we can go to flight level change at 245, that should keep our speed where we need it. Yeah, the flyby sound should be a little bit better, but you know, it's at least you have a bit of kind of F-mod going on, and it's not just the one sound. There's a little bit of Doppler effect put in. There's just something nice about that scene. Yeah, the sounds aren't bad at all. Like, they're fairly like, they're acceptable, you know. Here's a shameless plug on this little thing I've been working on, and it's absolutely shameless. I know, right? That took ages, and I mean ages to make. So anyway, the shameless plug is done. We'll continue our flight. Jump back inside the cockpit here when the buttons want to respond. Coming up on 15,000 feet, our altitude is 18,000 feet for our initial climb. If we jump back over to our flight plan just to see what's happening. So we have Waterford at a distance of 50 nautical miles, and then Cardiff 145 or 146 nautical miles thereafter. So that's behaving itself. In terms of our passengers, you guys can totally chill out back there. She's been thinking about that page for some time. The modelling is actually quite good here, isn't it? They're almost real. Almost. What are you reading? Numbers. But yeah, in terms of 3D passengers go, this has to be by far one of the best I've ever seen. Because like some of them are like literally stick man or stick woman. A nice wing shot looking out. And the clouds aren't too bad either. So we're running Ultra Weather XP, and it's looking quite nice. Yep, it's looking all good. So quick check on everything up here. We've now hit our cruising altitude of 18,000 feet. Bring our speed back. There's no auto throttle, so there is a bit of work involved in this. Oh, and these are all our tests. Landing gear, flaps. That's handy. So our speed, we're a little bit fast, but you know what? We're fine. We're doing 330 over the ground, which is like very fast. Distance is under 40 nautical miles out towards Waterford. What other stuff do we have in this? Yeah, so we have lights overhead. These guys, I'm sure, oh, they do, look. Well, isn't that fancy? If we really wanted, we could probably program some sort of a HUD into that. Or just turn on the X-Plane HUD. Yeah, so they're kind of a cozy little machine here. The modelling on the inside is fantastic. There's great detail here. And okay, yeah, the windows are a little bit on the sharp side. But there's lovely reflections there, and the door is well modelled. There's no gaps that I can see. Very nice. So a bit of info on this here said aeroplane. It's currently on sale at the moment, so if you go over to the xplane.org store, it's advertised as the Cessna Mustang from WRD, which is Real World Design, I think. It's for $30, which gives you a saving of $1.95. But a saving's a saving. So the Cessna Citation Mustang is a very light business jet by Cessna. It can carry 5 passengers and cover over 1,160 miles. That's impressive. So a Cessna Citation, the 510 variant. How much are these going in the real world? So let that load up and I'll have a quick gawk. So the Citation Mustang model 510, it's a very light jet built by Cessna, launched at the 2002 the NBAA convention. It first flew on the 23rd of April 2005. It received its FAA type cert in September the 8th 2006, was first delivered on the 22nd of November. Production ended in 2017 after 479 aircraft were built. The 8,645 pounds of maximum takeoff weight. It's powered by two 1460 lbf, which is 6.5 kNs turbofans. Who makes them? Is it Pratt & Whitney? Cool. The engines are Pratt & Whitney engines. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? It can reach 340 knots and has a range of 1,167 miles. It's a machine. We can buy one of these for $3.5 million, and there's some for sale right now if you have $3.5 million. And the cheapest one you can buy is going for $1.9 million. So it ain't bad, like. Plus the avionics package that comes with them, it is a glass cockpit, so you'd have the Garmin G1000s. This center console though, I think there is a different name on that. But yeah, really like it. I suppose this would be comparable, or it's competitive to the likes of, say, the Eclipse 550 maybe, or the Phenom, or the Cirrus maybe. My walls have ears. My wife has just texted me, "You're not buying an airplane." Yes, dear. That's the bubble burst, guys. That's the bubble burst. So cruising here, 253 indicated, giving us about, where did we see that? Giving us 329 over the ground. We're very, very close to Waterford. As we'll jump back outside here. It's just really nice. So it's still a pet hate that you have weather just kind of appearing in the sim. I didn't find that issue at all with SkyMax. It was one of the only weather engines that didn't pop weather in. It just gradually did it over time. It dissimulated very well. I think one of the last betas kind of broke SkyMax, but I do believe it's working well now in beta 16. Also, the new flight simulator has a number of business jets, if I'm not mistaken. They have a Citation in it, so that's going to be interesting to fly. So what kind of flights do you guys do with this aircraft? Is it kind of point to point, just go for a quick flight? It covers the ground fairly quickly, so there's nowhere too far from this, I would imagine. The range is impressive though. So we should have Waterford Airport directly under us here. I know them sand dunes, and there it be. The creative artist in me now wants to do what they did on the flight sim video. Different views. Yeah, it can be done. So we're going to start our turn here. And we're now heading to our next waypoint, which is going to be Cardiff Airport. Everything looks good from this altitude. Alrighty. So we're about 25 minutes, give or take, away from Cardiff. That's going to be our first stop for this evening's flight. We'll drop off our business people. They're very quiet back there. So what other stuff can we figure out about this aircraft? So we can have a quick look at the checklist and let's just see what it's all about here. So we have our pre-start, engine start, pre-takeoff, after takeoff. Climb, yes, during climb, landing gear up, flap handle up, our anti-ice systems not required, pressurization check, altimeters. Yes, we should be at 29 or 9 or 2. See the way you don't follow the checklist. 2, 9 or 9 or 2. And then we'll have our descent approach, landing and shutdown. It's not bad. I like the graphics there, just with the little folder. So the weight and the weight and balance manager, this screen here, so you can add obviously cargo front and back, and then your fuel left and right. And it's only a matter of clicking on the seats here to add in a someone or disappear a someone, whatever way we want to do it. That's pretty cool. And then our door controls as well. So GPU, we obviously don't need it, we're well in the air. Weather effects, I think it's just windshield effects. I'm unsure does it use Librain, but we can check that out. Ah, there's the screen vignetting. What do you reckon, guys? On or off? It's very subtle, and I kind of like it. 3D passengers, no, leave them on. They're all okay. So yeah, it's I like it, and they like it. He's had a smile on his face the whole flight, and she's been thinking about it. Okay. Weather. Nothing much to worry about at the minute. There's no significant change when we get out to Cardiff. So the aircraft comes with 5 paints and a paint kit. It has the aircraft operating manual and a flight tutorial built in as standard, which is always handy. Let's go looking for this actually. To be actually actual. So this is the real world design Cessna Mustang. Documentation. Flight manual. So it comes with a 42-page document. Our general characteristics: crew 1 or 2 pilots, capacity 4 to 5 passengers, length it's 40 feet and 7 inches, wingspan is 43 feet, height 13 feet, and its empty weight is 5,500 pounds. Useful load is 3,100 pounds, maximum takeoff weight 8,645. And its power plant, as we said, was 2 Pratt & Whitney Canada PW61F turbofans. And they create about 14,500 pounds of thrust. Hence the rocket speed we have. So maximum speed 777 kilometers or 483 miles per hour, or Mach 0.6. Cruise speed is 340 knots, or about 390 miles per hour. Range 1167 nautical miles. Service ceiling 41,000 feet. Interesting. And its takeoff and landing distances are quite short. yeah, there's a lot of information on this. So the air conditioning unit is fully modelled. The Mustang uses transformed bleed air from the engines to heat, cool and pressurise both the cabin and the cockpit. Interesting. Avionics. Garmin G1000, that's okay. PFDs. So it's the default G1000, which you kind of knew. The MFDs are all there. Master caution and master warning system tied into the crew alert system, or CAS. So that's a little test button over on the right hand side. To be fair, you're getting a whole lot of plane for $30. I've seen far worse for far worse for much more, is what I trying to say. If that works. What does it burn an hour? Well, let's see what the technical sheet refers to first, and then we'll see what it's actually doing in the aircraft. They base it on 95 gallons per hour. Near the aircraft's maximum operating altitude of 41,000 feet, fuel burns as low as 60 gallons per hour. That's interesting. Let's jump in and see what are we burning. Fuel. $437. Here comes the maths. We're currently burning 50, according to this anyway, we're burning 52 gallons an hour. And that's pure misery. Probably because we're so light. And we have the teeny tiniest of tailwinds. So it's burning very little. Okay, ETA 17 minutes. We're making good old time here. Bring up our map here. We're crossing the Irish Sea. RAF Brody. Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's for a jet, it has to be fantastic. I do love the Eclipse 550, but this is, I don't know, just I like this one better. The Eclipse, I think it's too, oh, it's a bit cartoony maybe, or this just kind of, this is rough and ready, you know. So on our approach here, looking out the front of the airplane, there's great detail in this, isn't there? What do you make of the Vision Jet? That's the Cirrus Vision Jet, the one with the V tail. Yeah, it's the standard one that comes with X-Plane, the laminar one. It's very smooth. It flies really well. For years, and like that's been an X-Plane for quite a while, since I think I've X-Plane 8 or maybe 9. But I remember seeing it years ago. I was just like, oh, that's so fake. That doesn't look like a real plane. The shape of it and whatever else, and I was like totally wrong there. But yeah, it's really well modelled, and again, really fast. As far as I know, there's like there's another developed one outside of Laminar Research. I think, I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain there's a very good freeware version of that as well. So any of the business jets, like I have the Challenger of this. I have the Coronado Falcon and their Citation. What else do we have? We have the Aerobasque. What else do we have? Oh yeah, we have the X-Craft stuff. There's the Eclipse 550. What else do we have? There's the Cirrus Vision, but that's the Laminar Research one. There's the Legacy. I don't have the other ones installed. I must put them in. The Challenger was great. Like its update was like, it took so long, and they've only updated it. I haven't checked it at all in the Vulcan running for the betas. So that's certainly one we're going to have a look at. What about you guys? What's your favourite business jet in X-Plane? Because I wouldn't say we're spoiled for choice, but there's a few of them there now. So we'll talk through it. So we have the S550, which is Coronado's, it's the Citation 2. That sounds like the vacuum cleaner, but there is custom sounds for that available. We have the Legacy 650 by X-Crafts, the Cessna Mustang that we're in now. The Falcon 50, again Coronado. The Challenger, which is Bombardier Challenger V2. That's excellent. The Phenom 100, again Coronado. That was very, very good. It doesn't work. The Eclipse 550 is very good. The Epic Victory, never tried that. The Hawker 4000, again, I've never tried that. There's a PC24, no, didn't try that. The Gulfstream G650, didn't try that. The Learjet 36 and a Citation XLX. I haven't tried any of those ones. What else do we have as business jets? I dare say that's kind of it. Oh, we have the CRJ 200, but that's, you know, that's your... The CRJs are big, like, they're on par up with the Embraers, the 145 and that. Really looking forward to this new SR22 being released tomorrow. That should be a good one. Senan Gallagher, you're very welcome to the chat. Would love to see a good Fuga Magister for X. Oh, who are you telling? What I'd give for a decent Fuga in X-Plane. I was half thinking of making one myself, and I started down the road of what's involved in developing an aircraft, and it's like trying to think of time travel. You think you're trying to suss it out in your head, and then you get this pain, and it moves all over your face, and then you say, right, let's play a different sim or a game, like golf or something, so your mind can just like completely leave you. So 10 minutes out, we're going to drop our speed right back. We're going to alert our passengers in the back that stop all the talking, don't need lights yet, and put on your seatbelts. So 220, and what we want to do, we're going to set our altitude, come down here a bit, down you go. We're going to go for 6,000 feet, flight level change at 200 knots. So bring our speed right back. So yeah, so the Fuga, an Irish Air Corps Fuga would be brilliant. And as you say, wait till you see something very sad. Hang on there for a second. I'm back to you. So we talk about kind of sad and stuff, but that, be it a Fuga, do you ever see these, the Airfix ones? And over this neck of the woods, if you're in Ireland, to do the maybe you can't see it, to do the Irish Air Corps stickers or decals, and you can paint them up. And this one took absolutely hours to do, but if you want to know what a Fuga Magister is, that's what they look like, and they're absolutely fantastic, and I would love to see one in X-Plane. So whoever can make one of them, I will trade you my wife. No, I won't. You can just take her. I'm only joking. So yeah, the Fuga is definitely one I'd love to see, but I'd say the chances now of that happening are slim to none. So on approach here, ETA 12 minutes. As we're slowing down, altitude is coming down nicely as well, which is what we want. Nice and quiet on our descent here. The weather kind of held up, bit of cloud alright, but nothing major. Senna says he literally has the same model on your desk. See? Are you any good at modelling aircraft in X-Plane, or do you know how to use PlaneMaker? Because I started, and Austin put up a couple of tutorials. I have the airfoil, so I have the is it the laminar or the airfoil? But essentially it's the shape of the wing, right? That's available, and there is a freeware Fuga for X-Plane. It's some French development crowd, and it's not awful, but like it's very far away from being anyway kind of decent. Kind of like the Dauphin, they're not bad, but the Dauphin is actually pretty good considering, but the Fuga really isn't. But like, you know, for a developer to make an aircraft, it has, well, in saying that, I was going to say for a developer to make an aircraft, you know, you got to have a market for it. And like, we've an absolute clatter of Cessna 172s and 152s. We have a number of Beechcrafts. We have a Falcon that was just released by Coronado. We have another Falcon coming out from Aerobasque. Like we have a lot of the same aircraft. So, I mean, look what happened with the Islander. You know, Torque Sim released theirs, and then Nimbus had theirs, and I think Q8 did a video on it the other day comparing them. I must actually look at it. That's okay, Zenon. You have precisely 7 months to learn it, and we'll release it for next May when it's all ready. Look at the auto tiles here, they're not too bad. And this isn't Orbex, this is standard auto scenery, which is probably Bing. So, quick look here on our fuel. We're burning almost nothing here. Engine power is wonderful. We're 9,500 feet, 10 minutes away from our ETA. In terms of distance, we are under 40 nautical miles. Our landing lights should be on now. Up you go. Passenger safety. Speed is holding good. Our plan here is to bring it down to 6,000 feet. Nice views out the window here. All is looking well as we ramble into Cardiff. We're going to come into the soup here now in a couple of minutes here as well. So not a bad machine here. I quite like the paintwork as well. Okay, holding here at 6,000 feet. Watch our speed now. Don't want to drop it under the 150. You probably go now and bring our altitude down a little bit further. Let's aim for 3,000. We'll go to a flight level change and dip the nose down again. Not a very long flight considering we took off in Shannon, the west coast of Ireland over to the west coast of England. Well, Wales if we want to be exact. And we have ex-Europe providing the ground objects, if you like. I wouldn't be too worried about the blurry textures there because it's just our distance away. It's very that'll be very detailed when we get closer. And the performance over this side of the world as well is actually pretty good. It lags on my machine an awful lot over in over on the continent, but in general, ex-Europe is an absolute game changer. So our approach is looking nice here, as we have some sort of a frigate down here. Do you ever try landing on them? Challenge accepted. Not in this though. We might try the we might try a chopper on it maybe later. Josh Clarkey, good evening to you. What's up? What route are you doing? So I need to put that bot gadget thingy where you can put exclamation mark. I'll set it up the next day. We took off from Shannon Airport in this Citation Mustang, and we flew direct over Waterford, and our first stop here is going to be in Cardiff. Because we have a group of noisy passengers with us, and we're going to drop them off in Cardiff. And when we get to Cardiff, we'll plan the next leg of our route. We'll probably get a shot of fuel here in Cardiff as well. So that'd be the Citation. This be our noisy passengers. I couldn't get a word in edgeways with them. I have to say that the modelling is very good, and like the detail is savage. For like, mind the mouse, Murph. For 3D passengers, like some of them are like god awful. They've like the buggiest eyes. Some of the airfoil lab stuff is just like, they're terrifying. So descent is looking good here. We nearly have the runway in sight. We have the runway in sight. There be Cardiff on approach, and our plan is to go to the right hand side. Speed is looking good. Altitude is dropping nicely. We're aiming for 3,000 feet. We can probably bring our throttles back just to get... no, we're okay. I think our descent is fine for the moment. There's no auto throttle with this, as I was saying, so you do have to stay on your toes a little bit just to monitor your speed. And to be honest, that's a good thing, because if you didn't have that, you just kind of sit back and wake me up when we get there kind of thing, you know? So we're 5 minutes out. We're on a 15-mile final. All our lights are set. Don't need to worry about pressurization or depressurization. 1,000 feet to go. Speed is holding well. Drop it down now, ever so slightly. Just so we know, guys, if you're interested, we also have a Discord up and running. The link for said Discord has just been dropped there into the chat. It just gives us kind of a platform to continue our discussions after these streams, and I have it open up to X-Plane 11, Flights in 2020, we've racing and driving, shooters, somewhere to put our media pictures as well. So one of our members, Davin Crawford, tonight he's planning flying Ethiopian 552 this evening, coming out of HAAB across by EIDW, being Dublin, and CYYZ, which I think is Toronto, and he's in the Airbus A350. So it's just interesting, so we can all kind of keep a track of what we're doing, and any help or, you know, tips, or be it hardware or software that you guys want, well, lean into it, our own little community, and see if we can help you out here. So I've disengaged the autopilot, and we're going to fly this one in manually here. So speed is good so far. We're just going to drift over to the left here to get ourselves aligned with the runway. Also the fancy light stuff going on behind me. I took a picture of that yesterday on Twitter, so there is a link to my Twitter at D2ToneMurphy, and I update on that as regularly as I can. It could be pure garbage now, like, but you know, one day I'll hit gold. Like, there will be a golden post, so we shall see. So bring our speed down another little bit here. We're going to get us back into that white bar range, and then we can start deploying a small little bit of flaps. So go ahead and turn off our yaw dampener, no longer needed, and we'll drop the landing gear and the flaps to give us a lot of drag. So here's the gear coming down and the first notch of flaps, and there's our drag. Huge drop in airspeed. We go from 150 right down to about 130. We have a runway in sight. We're on a 5-mile final. We have that big massive power station or factory or something over on the right hand side. That will be the lovely Orbex. As you can see, a change in the ortho imagery. It goes from what we're looking at there, which is, it's believable, but it just goes into kind of cranked 11 stage. 125 knots is kind of the minimum that we want to hold this at. Our approach is good. We're on the glide slope. We're on about 500 feet per minute of a descent. A little bit high, but we won't worry about that just yet. We have nice sound effects coming in from XP Realistic Pro, just the drag effect. Always nice to have. So quick check here before we do anything. We have 3 greens, landing gear is down and locked. We have flaps down, landing lights are on. Engines are set, there is no reverser, there is no spoilers. So it's all about getting our flare right. We are looking for the second exit off the runway. We're going to taxi out to the right hand side, park up, drop this loud bunch off, refuel, take a quick pit stop, and have a look at our second leg. So another notch of flaps here, just to control the drag. A little bit bumpy here, but we'll get that tidied up momentarily. There is some difference with the ortho when it's Orbex. It's beautiful. $115 knots. We're pretty much at decision height here. We'll continue. A little bit high, but again, I'm not overly worried. We've a good shot of runway between us and our exit. We'll try not to slam into it. Back on the glide slope here now. Just over the piano keys, and we'll go for our flare. Try and keep it on the center line. There's roughly 50 feet. Watch the drop. Power to idle. There's a woeful float. And just hold it off. There's touchdown. Now we can use a shot of manual braking here. And we'll run it on. We can do a U here. Where's this guy going? Excuse me, sir, but you're pure nuts. Wait, it's like that scene out of Bad Boys. Did they know someone? There's someone in the plane, just casually drive across the runway. It's okay. Nothing we can do now. So we'll back. Imagine if we stopped and that car actually came to the plane. That would be He's still going. So we'll back taxi here. There'll be Cardiff Airport. It's really well represented here. Wonderful ground traffic as well. Stefan, good evening to you. Many thanks for joining the stream, pal. First time clicking on one of your streams, and by chance you're on approach into my home airport. Nice. Well, I have to say you are one lucky duck if this is your home airport, because I do like Cardiff. Beautiful. Davin is here as well. Good evening, Davin. How is your flight going? Are we somewhere airborne yet? Evening, bit late to the party, but I heard I got a mention. You definitely got a mention. Chatting about your endeavours for this evening. That flight, unless you accelerate time, you'll probably land at about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, maybe. So our flaps can come back up here as we taxi over to the GA parking. We can see kind of a Cessna Caravan over there. That's our destination, and hopefully that X5 comes back and picks up these people. Who ordered the car? Look at me when I'm talking to you like it's... And what have you got to say? Very sad. Imagine there's a thing on XP Realistic Pro, there's a sneeze and it scared like let's keep it like family friendly, but like that thing like really got me. The whole camera shook and it sneezed. Imagine if they just suddenly moved and said like, I don't know, hello or something. Eek. Golf in op. That's a great tail number for a plane. Golf in op. Yeah, we'll probably fit in there. I love the Orbex ground models, like their aircraft and that they put on the ground. It's really nice. Okay, we're just going to stop it here because we can. Park and brake can come on. Davin, well, we're in Dublin around 5 AM and departing around 6 AM after a refuel, so I'd say around midday tomorrow. That's going to be the epic of all flights. And are you doing that on X-Plane? Whenever I try long flights on X-Plane, two things happen. I fall asleep and the sim crashes. So seatbelts off, landing lights off. Come hither. Let's see here now. Anti-collisions, they can all stay on. They're pretty much just your strobe lights. You can go ahead and disappear our yokes here. So generators ignition is set to off, fuel boosts are set to normal. They're all quite okay. Gens I'm not too worried about, so we can cut the fuel on the right engine. If we can find the click spot, which is there. And on the left. Cool. What we'll do from here now, we can go ahead and get our exterior doors opened. Front door open. Baggage door open. Left open. And rear baggage door. Don't need the emergency exits, they're quite okay. And while we're sitting here, avionics, switch them off. Plug in our GPU just to have it. Not to let our batteries go all the way off. Master lights can stay where they are. Turn off them strobe lights, they just look cat. Okay. So, welcome to Cardiff here, everybody. That wasn't too bad, was it? That'll work. So, we are on the ground here in Cardiff. We're going to drop off some of our passengers. We're going to find another destination to fly up to after we take on a bit of fuel. So our flight from Shannon went reasonably well. Fantastic. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Going to take a quick break for about a minute or something. As we're here, Josh, wonder who told you that. Davin says, oh, I'm not awake for the full thing, not a hope. I'll wake up for our arrival into Dublin, stay awake until we've departed again around 6 a.m. Then it's back to sleep till around 11. Davin, it sounds like you've done this before. But yeah, let us know how it goes on every step of the way. Right guys, I'm going to step away for just a sec. Going to fill up my little cup on here. So stay put. We'll be back to you now in a sec. Hey, how's it going? And we're back to you. Okay, so my little buttons here to turn things on and off weren't working. So when I got up, I bashed my leg off my chair and I was like, yeah. And then I realised my mic was on. That was lucky. I could have been saying anything. But luckily, I didn't. Okay, so let us set up this flight. What we're going to do, we're going to be outrageous here, and we're going to fly up to London City Airport and do a something. Now, I don't think I have Orbex's London City installed, so we'll just use the default one. But the default one is going to be just fine. So, first and foremost, good luck to yous. Out they get. And we're going to add a tonnage of fuel in here. That'll probably do. And we can put in a co-pilot. We'll give this guy a name. We won't give him a name. The chat can name him. What do you want to call him? Okay, so we'll set that up. And then our flight plan, as we scroll over by yonder, we're going to clear this. And we're going to clear this. And we're going to go to here. And we're going to go to... what's London City, lads? EGL. Standby. EGLC. Echo Golf. Lima. Whoop. Charlie. Come back. Oh, look at that. Wouldn't that wreck your head? Echo Golf. Lima. Charlie. There it be. In it goes. Okay, so a bit of tidying up before we depart again. So, altitude, we'll set up to... I want to see some scenery, so we won't go too mad. There's a weird click spot there, look. So we can scroll down and not up. Interesting. Let's set it to 8,000 feet. And we can stay VFR for this one. That all looks good to me. Transponder. We're going to go to 7,000. As we are in Europe. And we'll go altitude reporting. Good. We've accelerated the time here just to the evening time. Got some lights coming in over London. We can call him One Tone Murphy. He is kind of One Tone Murphy, isn't he? He's not like Two Tone Murphy. Ah well. One tone it is. One tone and two tone. Okay, so our doors are open. We're going to get these closed here now in a moment. Our fuel is recharged, as the fella said, but we've plenty of fuel on board. So we can get our menu up here. We're going to go for our doors. Close. Our doors are closed. Now we're running on the GPU here for the moment, which is quite okay. As you can see the shadow of it here. Knock off that caution light. So, same in reverse. So we're going to go to ignition on, boosters on for the right hand side. Up there you did it. And we'll start the ignition sequence for the right. PSI is coming alive. N2 is rising. Go ahead, add some fuel. And we have a positive rise on our N1. We're not carrying any passengers. Get our strobe lights on here as well. Good start on the right hand side. Ignition back off. Fuel boost to normal. Left boosters on. Ignition on our left. And we go for start. N2 rising. Introducing fuel into the system. And N1 is rising. Main engine's running. Disconnect our GPU. All should be okay on this side. Altimeter is okay. Altitude set to 8,000 feet. And our flight plan is over to London City. Boosters off on the left. Ignition off on the left. And everything appears to be working just right. No warning lights, no caution lights. We're not carrying any passengers. Get our recognition and taxi lights on. And that should be that. Toggle the yoke. Here's my yoke. That yoke. 1 is ready, 2 is ready. I hope you guys are ready. And let's plan to bug on out of Cardiff. So the same kind of only in reverse. So we'll turn down taxiway here. We can't cut across, that's now all turned off, but we will taxi up this way. And I reckon we have enough runway here, which we have. Okay, let's go again. You guys ready? Good. If you're not, well, good. Okay, adding in a bit of power. The initial roll off here. As we say goodbye to our people in Cardiff. Look at One Tone there. He's so happy. So happy. There's a beautiful Queen of the Skies down there. Hard to believe that the 747s are finished. Does anyone know the backstory on that, by the way? Why all of a sudden are they retiring the 747s? Like, wasn't the 747-800i, wasn't that like relatively new? Or is it just there's no demand for putting that many passengers in aircraft for the foreseeable? Does anyone know? I find it very interesting, as we'll have a sup of our coffee cup. That may or may not be coffee. It's very cold to be coffee. Add a bit of toe brake here. So landing lights can come on at this stage. And we'll taxi on up here. Then make a right turn onto the runway and then boogie on out. Drop a notch of flaps here as well. Now usually you wouldn't be taxiing with flaps down, particularly in some of the smaller GA aircraft, especially if you're taxiing over a long distance, but the simulated horror, it'll be fine. Josh Clarkey reckons pretty much a lack of demand, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, maybe. Like, they're an absolute sight to behold. They're a beautiful looking aircraft and they're massive. And to think that they've been flying pretty much non-stop for 50 years? Maybe even longer. Clear to the left, clear to the right, except for the nose of One Tone there. Beautiful Cardiff Airport. Okay, before we roll on out of here, get ourselves lined up here. Quick check before we go, just make sure everything's set the way we want it to do. So no caution lights, flaps are set, landing lights are on, passengers, there are no passengers, altitude is set for our takeoff. You ready? Good, okay. Let's bug on out. Toe brakes coming off. Engine stabilized. Takeoff power set. Airspeed's alive. Keep this on the center line. There's 60 knots. There's 80. We'll go V1 and rotate. That was sporty. Positive rate, gear coming up, tapping the toe brakes. We're a little bit bouncy. Flaps coming in here now as well. We're done with them. Beautiful sight coming out over Cardiff. absolutely phenomenal. There's a beautiful bridge over here, look, check out that. Look at the Romans did that one, guys. And what did the Romans ever do for us? Okay, slight bank here to our left. Wonderful views over the bay here. This is a nice part of the world. I get mixed up, is it Cardiff with the massive bridge when you come in from Holyhead? Davin says, was gutted to hear that BA retired them. Nothing can beat the Rolls-Royce engines on a 747. True, but I do believe the 777 has the same engines. They have the Rolls-Royce, and they've two of them. And Josh says, they looked unreal in the BA livery as well. They really did. They really did. You can only really appreciate them in the BA colours, I think. Aer Lingus operated one of them back in the day. Okay, yaw dampener on. And we can jump over here. We're going to go direct to mode, which is going to be... Hope you divil yet. We're going to go direct to London City. And we're going to activate our autopilot. Nav mode. All of a sudden you want to dive here. Vertical speed, come up. Why would you do that to us? This is what happens when you put one tone with you. So we're a little bit over speed here. And now we're climbing absolutely erratically. So, autopilot that off here for a second. We get the aircraft stabilized, trimmed out, set our V-speed for something that's not going to blast us off into orbit. And we'll try that again, shall we? That's a little bit more respectable. So, Alt is set, yet we want to drop. Flight level change. This should go for the climb. Throttle set to climb. Well, that was weird. Anyway, I think we fix it. That's up north in Holyhead, says Stefan, but the M4 has the big Severn Bridge across Bristol Channel and Severn Estuary. Ah, that's the one. Many thanks for that, Stefan. Black Knight is here. Good evening to you, sir. He says both the lack of passenger demand and thus they and most quads have become economically viable. Now, we operated 3 747-100s with the Pratt & Whitney power plants. Aha! I think it's had 3 747s. But that was all back during the whole we'll take it to Shannon kind of thing, wasn't it? Like, that was back in Shannon's heyday, I would imagine. So after that rickety takeoff with our autopilot, we're back on track here. We're not very far from London, 20 minutes only. Distance of about 100 nautical miles. So by all accounts it's a quick hop. We're going to drop number 1 off and we'll plan another flight then from London. So power's good, climbing nicely here this beautiful evening on departure from Cardiff. Approaching 7,000 feet, we have 1,000 to go. A whole lot of detail down there, including football stadiums. It's one limitation I will have to say about Europe. They model the architecture, I suppose, or certainly like the height and dimensions, but the specifics are missing. Any idea where you're going to head to after London City? Well, Josh, because you've asked, I'm all ears if you want to recommend another airport. Bearing in mind we have a maximum range of around 1100 nautical miles, and my frame rates don't really favour that in mainland Europe, but by all means I can give it a shot. Because it's Friday and we've got nothing to do tomorrow, which is great. I've got a haircut tomorrow. As you can see, the COVID thing, I started to believe I could cut my own hair. So the first time I did it, and I was super proud of it, until my wife showed me the back of my head in a photograph, and I was like, you gotta fix it. And she did. And then the second time I went about cutting my hair, I said, well, clearly my wife is going to be able to cut my hair much better than I can. No. So my wife cut my hair, and then I had to fix it. And then the third time I had to cut my hair, I kind of did an alright job. So I reckon now, like, I've earned my stripes, that's it. I'm a qualified barber, hairdresser person. And then I managed to get booked into the hairdresser tomorrow, or the barber, the place that gets your hair cut. And I'm delighted. Davin Crawford suggests CFN. Is that... The Discord link has expired. That's never any good. Let us fix that. Copy. And paste. Try that one, Stefan. Now, before my sim goes nuts here, we're at 100 and... No, we're not. We're at 280 knots here. Slow it down, Chief. CFN Airport. CFN. CFN, are you using CFN not as the ICAO, as in the IACO? Are you looking for Echo India Delta Lima? Perchance. As Josh says, I can get behind that, Davin. And Davin says, come on, Clark. Here's one for you, Black Knight, although you probably already know, but in 1979, September to be exact, Aer Lingus became the first European airline other than Alitalia to be used by Pope John II, or John Paul, when he flew aboard a specially modified Boeing 747, which was Echo India ASI, or St. Patrick, from Rome to Dublin, and later from Shannon to Boston. And then in the early 1980s, the 707s were phased out. So that was the papal visit in Ireland in the 70s. Davin says, of course, it's Donegal. EIDL. Very well, gents, we will go from London City to Donegal. That sounds like an interesting flight. I was looking at stuff earlier on Microsoft flight, and this is stuff that's already released. We've already seen the pictures of it, but Donegal looks amazing in that. And there's actual waves, like there's movement, there's weather, there's all cool looking stuff there. I think Flight Sim is going to be a GA pilot's paradise, especially starting off. And my plans are the same. We're going to stream the absolute bejesus out of it. Or at least that is the plan. So we're cruising here at 8,000 feet. took off from Cardiff, heading up to London City Airport. We'll turn the time of day down a little bit lower on approach, just so we have all the nice lights and stuff. We're in the we're in the RWDesign, real world design, Cessna 510 Citation. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying myself on this thing tonight. Really, really good. It doesn't. I'm not a fan of all the trees on the beach and everything. Hoping there'll be a fix to that. There will be. It's being read from OSM, right? And OSM and the placement of trees. That's the Azure technology working on overdrive. It'll see bushes and it'll say your tree, and it'll try and measure its height, and it'll say, well, typically a tree in this area should be of this type and roughly this height. So that's where a lot of their data comes from. By someone with a decent knowledge of editing things like that. Yeah, so like the framework for Microsoft Flight Sim, they've based it on the ESP platform, which isn't a million miles away from X-Plane in terms of how they lay things out. Now it's not as user friendly as in you can just drag and drop folders and like there's a hierarchy of folders. A little bit more messing around than that, but there are an awful lot of config files or CFG files, and yes, you can tweak and edit and move things around. So yeah, like it's give it time. When the sim is released, people are going to be blown away for the first couple of days. They're going to just be an absolute awe-inspiring, and then they're going to kind of push on the limitations and figure out where the edges are. Once they know what the edges are, then that's when the development kicks back in. People will send in maybe bugs or just general kind of, you know, you have a house in the middle of a runway here, or there's a road gone through the airport, or there's a BMW X5 driving across Cardiff as you land. Things like that. Stefan wants to know, do I ever fly on VATSIM? Very rarely. I have a couple of times. I've flown on Pilot Edge a few times, and I probably will more now with Microsoft Flight. My biggest bugbear always has been I love having eye candy in a sim. That's just, I love to have the sim look well and run well, and to strike the balance between the two of them, it tends to make the sim quite unstable. So any particularly long flights, a lot of the time I'll crash, not as in crash the plane, but the sim could crash because I try and push things to the absolute max. Like the specs that I have now are, yeah, they're beefy and whatever else. I'm still getting roughly the same performance on this machine at times than I was on my older machine, and it's how you kind of have everything set up. With X-Plane 11, they've simplified the user interface and you can make changes directly from there, but there are a whole load of data refs that you can get into, and you can go even further if you're going to be using Fly with Lewis scripts. Now it's not advised to do bits and bobs like that, especially if you're a novice. If you have an idea you think you have an idea what you're doing, by all means. I'll just try and be smart about it. Like, you know, have 2 copies of X-Plane running. You can have as many different copies of X-Plane on your machine. Like it's the licenses to your machine, so play around with it that way. But I watched the Flight Sim video with VATSIM on it, and yeah, it looks very impressive. It looks really impressive. So I can't wait. Like, I mean, if there's going to be like all the different VATSIM events that you have, but like to have Irish, and there's going to be, like, this is the good thing about this new sim, this is just going to be an influx of so many people. So to have that amount of controlled airspace, I suppose, and controllers, it's going to be fantastic. And even controlling different airspaces, like, there's not a whole lot of videos out there on it, how to do it, how to VATSIM, as in how do you control the airspace, what are all the rules and regulations, whatever else. There are some, don't get me wrong, but there's not an awful lot. Now, Murphy, you genius. With your altitude set here to 8,000, we have nothing else to look at only number 1 here on the right hand side and a whole lot of soup. And although it is somewhat visually pleasing, I'd rather keep an eye on what's going on below. So here's this cloudy weather I was anticipating. But we could be lucky. It could start clearing up now. Relatively shortly, we would hope. And the shadows, they go mad. There we go. So as the sun begins to set, I've been kind of tweaking the time of day here. That's nice. Just nice. Black Knight says the idea was, as far as I understand, was scuppered for the usual reasons. The 747s were therefore forced to use shorter runways and therefore could not carry enough fuel for the States. Aha! And Stefan says, for a second there, I thought the strobes were in perfect time with the music. Yep. That's the level of something we have available here on the Two-Tone Murphy stream. And it'll probably never happen again. Okay, quick update. We are within 10 minutes or almost 40 nautical miles of our destination, which is London City. And then we're going to absolutely thunder it across over to Donegal. So that'd be a massive airport. Would that be Heathrow or would that be Gatwick? I'd say Heathrow. That's Heathrow ahead of us there, folks. Interesting to see what the frames are going to do here. I've been turning off my frame counter as of late. Yeah, 35 to 40. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think I played that, but we'll play it again. Yep, it's going to be interesting now as we come into London. Let's see how the L frames suffer or not suffer. Davin says, I'll tell them to stick on the kettle for you when you arrive. Stick on the kettle. Now, 8,000 feet is grand and all, but I don't want clouds when we're flying into London. So, I reckon if we drop this to 6,000 feet, flight level change, bring our throttles back here a bit. Stefan says, I've got to head off now, but hopefully catch your next stream. Nice to be a part of here. Stefan, you're more than welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. We will catch you soon. I tend to stream Monday, Wednesday and Friday, the odd Thursday, and basically whenever I can, really. So you'll get a notification as you're subscribed to the channel. I'll usually give it kind of a 5 minutes heads up. But look after yourself, stay safe, and thanks for joining me. As we come down through the clouds here, and I have to say they look alright. Ah, empty seats, it's so lonely. Yeah, it's looking, the clouds are actually looking fairly good here, guys, aren't they? We have lightage. This plane is really good. It's probably the most I've flown it, like. It's really good. The lighting has gone a bit crazy. That is nice looking, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what's happening with the lights. See that flash we're getting every now and again? I wonder is a bug related to our strobes, because I don't like when the... Oh, it's frames, guys. Where are we at? 17 frames! Holy humbugs. And now we're back up to 26. We've encountered a bug. So what do we do when we're near a bug? Turn off flashing lights, because the sim hates flashing lights, because it puts them on a repeating timer. And let's say if we need to help things, bring it to about here, and let's see if that makes any difference. Black Knight says, oh, I knew that. They made the approach on 16. I watched it make the approach. Sweet. So we're 20 nautical miles out. Frames are taking a slight bit of a baton, but the sim would have appeared to stabilize, as we have these wonderful ray tracing stuff. It's not really, but that's what it looks like. So let's hope these flashes. That could have been one there, or it could have been me. I don't know. Yeah, definitely something weird going on with the lighting. We won't worry about it. We'll do a nighttime approach, and then we'll do like a dawn departure. How's that, guys? Give it a chance to check out our lights. T for torch isn't working. Keyboard. Flashlight. Toggle white is going to be T. Done. T. There we go. See that? Do you see what we did there, sports fans? Come back. So flashlight off, and we should have a lit cockpit. Say that in English, we have a lit cockpit. Marvin Brooks, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us here this evening. It flies fast on takeoff. The handling could be a little more like the Premier. Yeah, the Premier is Premier A1, I think, isn't it? The Coronado one. Yeah, that's pretty. Oh, I have that as well. That's another one, lads. Yeah, that's another business jet. I do like the Premier A1. Blue was flying that there tonight. Blue Games. Now, let us see. Frames are under a little bit of pressure. Turn these guys up so we can see what we're doing. So we're at 6,000, holding at 178 knots, which is probably fine for the moment. We're on a 10-mile final. Do we have the airport in sight? Yes, we do. So we need to lower our altitude here completely. Get us down to 3,000 feet. Light level change. Bring our power back. Landing lights are on. Get our strobes back on. That'd be London City under us. And there is a whole lot of stuff going on here with ex-Europe, so let's see how we go. It seems to be holding the 30 frames. So we'll just cut our power back to idle here just to get down them a few thousand feet. Yes, it handles well, says Marvin. The Premier 1A from Coronado. I love that aircraft. Yep, I've flown it a couple of times and I haven't flown it enough. Just like this one. It's I love my props, you know. I love the old Cessnas and Pipers and whatnot, but I'm having a blast on this thing tonight. And I do have the Premier, so that's on the list to reinstall. That and the Challenger. Premier and Challenger. Have any of you guys tried the Hawker 4000? That's been on my list for a while. I've always been, should I get it, should I not get it? Okay. Disengage our autopilot. We'll come in here for a relatively steep approach. I'm fairly certain there's only a handful of pilots who actually are certified to land in London City. And already I can see we are way too high for this one, so we're just going to circle around here. Let's just jump back to daytime to see how the city looks, if you don't mind, because I know there's an absolute ton of data trying to load, and this is all ex-Europe, which is free. So from the OSM data that it's providing, yeah, it's pretty accurate. Like, yeah, it's missing some of the textures, like the Millennium Dome just doesn't look like that. It's kind of weird looking. It's like a flattened version of it. But in terms of buildings and heights and whatever else, it's not bad. This is where Microsoft Flight Sim is going to kick the hiney off other sims. That's my opinion. As you go back to nighttime. Marvin says, do you have issues with the nav turning off in flight? No, I think it's been okay. Steady on here, Murph. We'll be upsetting the locals. Right, get ourselves repositioned here as we fly around. This just wouldn't happen. The Hawker is not worth it in your opinion, says Marvin. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same. It looks okay, but it looks like something that's a bit dated and kind of abandoned. Right, Right, so our altitude is now kind of fairly decent. We should have the airport behind us to the left. Keep our speed in and around somewhere between 120 and 150. Yeah, Marvin, he says he hopes X-Plane has an answer for flights in 2020. It will. In the words of Austin Meyer, it's not my first rodeo. And I still think, now it was funny yesterday because I was waffling, which never happens. And I was saying, you know, no, like there's certain things that are going to stay in X-Plane and keep people in X-Plane. And, you know, if you want to do these online events in VATSIM, you got to stay with X-Plane. And like 2 minutes later, one of the guys said, VATSIM's going on to Microsoft Flight Sim. That's what happened. But no, I still think with X-Plane, there are aircraft in X-Plane that won't be available to fly in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I think there's going to be some of the diehards who really like aircraft or the type of aircraft, as in what's your most favorite aircraft in X-Plane. Every now and again you get the itch to fly it and you'll want to fly it again, and you'll jump back into X-Plane just to fly it. So the likes of the IXEG, and even though you'd say, okay, look, the Zebo mod is there and you can fly the NG, but some people like the 300, some people like the steam gauges, and just the way the aircraft itself, how it flies, its systems, how it handles, like it's a masterpiece. And choppers, for me, choppers. There's no talk of helicopters going into Microsoft Flight Sim yet. And probably for good reason, because in a chopper you can get really low and really slow. And I just don't think the satellite imagery and the world building will allow that level of scrutiny just yet, as in from a hovering position. So it was probably a good idea to hold off with choppers for the moment. But we haven't long left, guys. We have 3 weeks, is it? Or 4 weeks maybe? That's all we got. So a couple of landmarks on site here now. We can see Tower Bridge over there. Down here we have Big Ben and Westminster. We should have the what's the name of that round looking yoke? Not the pickle, what's this they call it? I was going to say cucumber. It's not a cucumber. Is it a cucumber? No, it's not. It's hardly. They call it. No, I don't think they call it a cucumber. It's not a cucumber. What do they call it? As we come down the Thames here, (140 knots). We're just hovering above 2,000. Get ourselves trimmed out here to do what we need to do. Turn our yaw dampener off. Don't need that guy now. So our approach here into London City Airport. And our plan is to do a night arrival and we'll do a dawn takeoff. And our next and final destination is going to be over to Donegal. London Eye. No, not London Eye. Do you know the big round, not the circle, the round building? The Gherkin. Is it the Gherkin? Bonus points for the answer. Okay, we're a little low on our approach here, but we'll keep doing what we're doing. Speed is a little bit lively. Want to slow that down. Small bit of wind to contend with here as well. A breezy night coming into London City. You're nearly there, dude. You're nearly there. So far so good. Even with our 29 frames, the sim is relatively behaving itself. And we're going to drop the landing gear for some drag, which is now working. And our first notch of flaps can come down as well. Second notch of flaps straight into it. This is going to be interesting. We seem to be a little bit high. Speed is under 120 knots now. There's a whole load of wind pushing me here. We don't want to plough it into the ground, so we shall be as gentle as we can. We have illumination. Inner marker going off there, that's quite okay. Arriving at our waypoint. Over the piano keys, watch the flare. And we're down. Touchdown in London City. Not too bad. Bit of manual braking here now, get us back to some sort of a controllable speed. Just gently press on the brakes, no need to jam on. We can taxi off here at the very bottom. Flaps coming back in. St. Mary's Axe, no, it could be. It is. Davin, you are... Black Knight, Davin is winning here tonight. What's going on, man? St. Mary's Axe, that has the nickname the Gherkin, I think, isn't it? Plenty of ground traffic over there. Looks awesome. We'll exit the runway here. Not too shabby. If I want to taxi down this way, let's hold fire here for a moment. And we zoom out to see what exactly is going on. So I want to taxi. Well, you can't. You have to back taxi, look. Interesting. We will back taxi, so back out onto the runway and ramble all the way down. Davin asks, how did you get on with the IXEG earlier on? Very well. I did a flight from Shannon to Southampton, and I really like the IXEG. It's just one of my favourite, and the new texture work and modelling they've done, they've updated it with Blender, and the difference it makes is class. You really notice it on the engines, but yeah, no, it's a solid flight. It's pointless flying any of the big tubers, like, unless you're going to be doing proper flight plans and procedures, and it's a little bit boring without ATC. But in saying that, the IXEG, it's well put together. You can kind of just jump into it and away you go. You can make up your own flight plan. Just give yourself a departure runway. You don't even need a SID or a star. Okay, so we'll mosey back down the runway here. Music to think about stuff. How does our cabin look at night time? Have we lights here we can turn on and off? Oh, we do. Oh, would you look at that? Very nice. And some tables, look. Yes. That's a nice touch. Wouldn't that be super annoying? There's always a passenger who does that. Yeah, so this is the default version of London City Airport. I think I have the Orbex one. I cannot fully remember. We'll get ourselves parked up here beside this Cirrus jet. Frames are taking a bit of a beating here. They seem to have stabilised now. Don't need our landing lights here. Alrighty, parking brakes on. Don't need our taxi lights on now at this stage. So let's see. Anti-collision lights, they can come off. Cut our fuel on the right. And on our left. Nice. So, same crack again. GPU up and running. Okay, to get our doors opened. Super. Weight and balance. So, fuel. We're probably, what are we? 696 kilograms. Right, time for some maths. 696 kilograms back into pounds and then divided by gallons. You have 10 seconds. Okay, let's get a fuel calculation on this. So pounds. D 1534. Uh, 1534. $183 gallons. And will burn roughly 90 gallons per hour. Our flight time from London back over to Donegal is going to be in the region of 1 hour. We're good for fuel, so we're going to start. Good luck, One Tone. Thanks very much. It was a blast. And we're going to put our weird people from Cardiff back in. Because why not? They were a great bunch of lads. So, loading our passengers here. We're on our GPU. Everything looking fine for here. We'll zoom out here and get some sort of a visual look over London. Looks very pretty. Nighttime is always nice in X-Plane. Okay, we are going to go to dawn. There goes the moon, twice. There's Don. Now let's see. There we go. What do you think? About here? We still have some lights for our departure. I think that'll do. There's the gherkin there. Look, lads. I knew it. I knew we'd find it. It's over here. Press this button. And we'll rumble over. Davin says, One Tone is now off to make a name for himself in London. Whether that name is good or bad, we don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out. Tune in next week to see the adventures of One Tone, the mysterious half-brother. There's the gherkin, also known as St. Mary's Axe. How did they get that name? It's actually pretty well modelled, isn't it? Amongst other things here in London town. Yeah, it's not bad. I like London, but there's too many people in it. I like most cities, but there's too many people in them. Yeah, that's decent modelling there. Yeah, like this is kind of a limitation of X-Europe. HMS Belfast, the last time I checked, didn't look just like that. But we won't worry about it. Okay, back to our machine here. So we're on the ground here now in London City. And we have our passengers back in the plane. They're heading out to Donegal now to give a lecture or a sales pitch to... oh, who could we say? That's just where they're going. This plane is holding up well, I'll give it that much. Okie dokie, so weight and balance is checked. We're going to come back down to this little guy here now and get our doors closed. Lovely. And we're now going to start up this machine here again. Hi there, yokes. So, as we were, boosters coming on the right hand side. Turn on. Go ahead, get our collision lights on here as well. Ignition to the right. Engine start. N2 rising. Introduce some fuel. Davin says his pastime includes standing dangerously close to moving traffic and pressing the stop button on the bus when he doesn't need to get off. Truly living life on the edge. And our sales team here, they're going to make a sales pitch for more Botox to Daniel O'Donnell. Okie doke, we leave it there so. Okay, so we've got a good start on our right engine. Go ahead and get ignition off and our boosters off. Boosters now on the left, ignition on, and engine start on the left. N2 is rising, PSI is coming up. We're at about 30 there in around 2. Add some fuel in. And we have N1 rising here. Looking good. Engine's peaked and will now stabilise. And that's a good start on our left engine. Booster back to normal. Anti-ice not required on that side. Pack safety. Alright, you lot, behave yourselves now. Taxi lights can come on. Wing inspections still don't need them. Everything over here is looking good. The frames are just holy moly. Caution light is on. Double check our cast here. Cast is fine. Black Knight says they are two separate buildings, though they are right next to each other. Now he's just retracted that. Josh says Donegal Daily will be covering this. Yes, they will. The Donegal Daily for all your Donegal needs. Right, we're going to need a fictitious squawk code because we're going to be going high up here. So let's sort this one out. So transponder code is going to be 3411. On, back, and we need to set a couple of things here. So our initial altitude is going to be high, guys. We'll be going right up on this one. Damn you, scroll wheel, you're doing weird things. Let's bring it up to... We probably want to get the legs to do that. Bring it up to 28,000 feet. Because why not? That's all looking okay here. Yeah, the frames are hating this. But we'll figure it all out now in a minute. So whatever's in that corner, it just doesn't like. So our plan is taxi out here, and we'll go the long way around. Unidentified object lands in Donegal Airport. It'll be one tone doing a parachute jump. Okay, everyone's strapped in back here? Yeah, you're looking well. Alrighty. So we'll taxi down past the terminal here. Local time is 0405. That's very early. The residents might give out. So we'll ramble down by the taxi here. Cathay Pacific. Would they be in London City Airport? That's kind of a sleek design. Okay, yeah, the frames aren't enjoying this at all at our 20 frames, but we'll see. Temperatures on the old computer are... they're alright. Do you know what we didn't do? You'd end up in Cork if you tried to get to Donegal. Yep. Hang on, wait. He's one tone. He's omnipresent. And before we go here and taxi on out, we forgot to do something important. Parking brake on, jump over here. Okay, so where exactly are we going? Oh, that's really super annoying. We need to turn off yokes. Okay. So, jump over here. Sorry for all the jumping around. Okay, flight plan. So we want to go to... Where would be our route, or our best route from here? Bear with me now. Yes, we will be flying over Liverpool. Echo Golf Golf Papa. Echo Golf Golf Papa, and then Echo India. There we go. Sweet. Toggle yoke. Disappear him. Okay, we need to get out of here before... It's like the Langoliers. The frames are going to get us. Okay. And direct Bob then see if I've something what I'd say. That's what happens when you look at your chat while taxiing an airplane. What the hell are we in? Like, this is like full throttle. You can do it. What? We're absolutely like giving it socks here, man. Okay, we're free. We like just got buried into the grass. Okay, time to boogie. One notch of flaps. This will be a sporty departure. Landing lights on. Wing inspection don't need. Packs are set. Flaps are set. Okay. Engine stabilized. Takeoff power set. Wheels rolling. Airspeed alive. Small crosswind coming in from the left. No factor. 80 knots. The runway's bumpy. 90 knots. V1. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear coming up. Tapping the toe brakes. There's 300 feet. Flaps coming back in. We can start our bank here now to the left, over 1,000 feet. Speed is good, altitude is climbing quite well. I'll keep this angle on the aircraft. As we look out the window, we say goodbye to London. Yeah, it looks cool. Just remember this. In X-Plane, 30 frames. We shall be comparing notes. Okay, get ourselves somewhat sorted here now, so go ahead and set our vertical speed here. Set that to 2500. We can now go to direct to mode. Straight to Liverpool. Nav mode is on. Yaw dampener on. Autopilot set. There's a sporty right turn. Half bank that one there, Jeremiah. So the climb is looking good. We can go ahead and leave this on a flight level change now momentarily. Power back to climb. Keep it at 249. That'll pitch us down just to get the perfect altitude here now. We come up over 8,000 feet. Passengers can relax. Keep our recognition lights on as we come out over London. Okay, so our first leg It's going to bring us up over Liverpool, 145 nautical miles. We're about 30 minutes out, but we're still climbing. So once we get to altitude, that's going to fairly rocket down, which is what we want. So our early morning flight here, departing from London City. We have our passengers on board. Plenty of fuel. And we'll be keeping it lit. Let's enjoy these views for a moment. Alrighty. So as Black Knight says, he was indeed right. They are indeed two separate buildings, just in very close proximity. Very interesting. So, speed is looking good. Altitude coming up on 15,000 feet. We're making good old time. We've fairly bombed it now. Frames are stabilising back up around the 50s. We should hit the 60s now relatively soon. There's a whole chunk of scenery around London, as you could imagine. Not only in the four massive airports that surround it, but certainly every other bit of scenery that we have down there as well. So we're looking pretty good. We can zoom this map all the way out just to see where we're going. So this be our flight plan. I'm a north up kind of dude. So 23 minutes we'll be over Liverpool, then another 25-30 minutes we should be hitting Donegal. So we'll keep that range there. It's looking well. Speed over the ground is now 316 knots. That will increase. So everything so far seems to be behaving itself. Fuel burn, we're at 514. 513. 512. 643 pounds of fuel. Cabin pressure, everything in the green. Flaps are up. On our electrical system, our volts are good, amps are good, battery's fine, temperature is good. For our oil, pressure is good. And our ITT is well within norms. Cool. Yeah, it'd be great to get an old sound pack. I have to say though, and I keep saying it, this is a good airplane. I was thinking there as well, but we might do kind of the first couple of streams before we get over to Microsoft Flight Sim. We might just do a couple of typical flights in some GA aircraft. For example, taking off from the likes of Donegal and rambling down to, well, that's gone horribly wrong, ramble down to the likes of Sligo to take in the likes of Ben Bulbin and stuff. Then maybe go from Sligo and ramble over to Shannon. Maybe just do a loop, a full lap around the coast of Ireland just to check it out in X-Plane, and then once we get into Microsoft Flight Sim we'll do the same again, and we'll just use it as comparison. So we'll take a couple of screenshots, maybe even compare videos along the way, because I do know the Coronado Cessna 172 is very close to what I've seen of the Asobo Cessna in Microsoft Flight Sim. So it'll be interesting to compare notes. Definitely the ground textures, there's not going to be a million miles between them. The weather, it's going to be completely different, and the lighting in the new sim is just biblical. But it should be interesting. It should be good. Okay, less than 100 nautical miles to Liverpool. We're 17 minutes out. We're chugging along nicely here. Plenty of power in this machine. I'll give it a bit more oomph just to get up to our designated altitude. Just having a look there in Discord. Black Knight, you put up something there. It's version 9 compatibility. I like the way you have runway lights on during the day. Interesting. We must have a look at that. $23,000 feet. Yes, that's looking mighty pretty. So our cruise time in this aircraft, this is probably the most I've flown this aircraft completely in the sim, and it's holding up very, very well. There's enough functionality in it to keep you on your toes, especially with the lack of an auto throttle. Everything is modelled really well. There's one or two click spot issues, nothing really worrying. That's kind of interesting looking. So whatever way the textures were joined there, but it's still very good. $25,000 feet. This no problem to this plane. We're doing 365 over the ground. Let us go for some music. That's a bit now, yeah. Let's try this one. This could be good. Maybe not. Inspiration for making flight sim videos. Oh, I found a song, you know. Where is this? Is it this one? Oh, super loud. Sorry, guys. Does this sound familiar? It's like it, isn't it? It's kind of like it. So there. So some of the X-Plane movies that I make, if you're interested, a lot of the music I would pick would be from a website called Epidemic Sound. I'm not affiliated to them. I actually give them my hard-earned monies. But when you subscribe to them, they give you licensed music that you can play on YouTube and Twitch and whatever. And you can make your music and videos and whatever with it. So when I think about making an X-Plane video, I haven't done one in a while. The last one I did, I think, was the IXEG. And everyone has different methods. Like Hampus, you see him on here the odd time. Some of the videos he released, there's new ones there from the Apron to Sim, I think it's called, or Apron Sim, or Apron X, or X Apron. Hang on, it's in here somewhere. But basically, the trailer for the Thranduil Pilatus, that's the one that they did, that Hampus made, and like it's epic, it's brilliant, and it has stuff I've never seen in X-Plane videos before, just like the transitions we saw with Microsoft Flight Sim, which is the ultimate in theatrical, buff. So everyone has their own methods when it comes to making videos, and I have my own methods, but they could be questionable. I don't put an awful lot of planning into it. It's very much this kind of crack as we see now. It's rotating around the aircraft, zooming in, zooming out, getting different shots of it. Get all them clips, throw them into Premiere Pro, and start working on it. And if you find the right music for it, you're absolutely laughing, because everything kind of just works together. That being said, you get the wrong music for it, and well, let's not go there. But I think it'd be interesting. So 28,000 feet, 265 indicated, 403 over the ground. We are absolutely booting it here, and I imagine we have contrails at this height. No. Very strange. But we shan't worry. So less than 30 miles to Liverpool. We'll be there in about 4 minutes. Then it'll be a slight left turn, turning our heading to the northwest, and it'll be a jump straight across to Donegal. Top of descent is going to be probably just as we approach kind of Newry, Belfast neck of the woods, and then we'll descend over to Donegal, which would be interesting, for there are no speed brakes on this aircraft or reverse thrusters, so we'll be looking for the sporty landing. Another neat little add-on is XATC. So you may or may not have seen this program before. This is from the same developer that brought us X Camera Stick and Rudder Studio. So it's XATC. Basically, it takes real world clips from around the world and injects them into the sim. Now they're all pre-recorded or whatever, but they fix them to the frequencies, and they have various localities. For example, you have, you know, Africa, Asia, Canada, Europe, Oceania, South America, North America, the whole lot. And there's quite a few there from Ireland actually, when you log into them. But they just kind of add that extra bit of immersion, I suppose, back into the sim. So the menu you get with it, you can select what audio device you want. So if you're not online or whatever, this is no good if you're online. It's only when you're offline. But you know, you can have your simulator pushing all your sounds out through your main sound system. If you know, if you're using a PC with speakers, and just the ATC can travel through your headphones, which is, it's a nice touch. And all the menus you have here, so you can tune into, like, you've clearance, you've departure, you've obviously tower, approach. You can turn on the different ones, and that'll dictate all the chatter you get. So for example, if you tune into ground, well, you're not going to be getting landing instructions, you're going to be getting taxi instructions and clearance and whatnot. Likewise, you go onto the tower, well, you're not going to hear, you know, push and start or any of that kind of stuff. But it's good, I like it. Once you set it up, you just run it in the background and it's fine. So it'll be interesting to see, for those, like, put it this way, people who are new to flight sims, and there's going to be a truckload of people who are new to flight sims. The only way you really learn the lingo and how to speak, you need to be exposed to it. Yes, you can read it up and, you know, you can study for it, of course, but I find if you're listening to it and you understand what they're saying after a while, well, that kind of builds up your confidence, because you'll just remember what people say. So it'll be interesting to fly, if you like, on the network of VATSIM, to listen to everything, but not necessarily take part in it until you were ready to do so. Like, I think we've all tried that if you're online flying, when you have the likes of Pilot Edge and your very first flight. I think everyone is like terrified and real choked up when they have to come on the radios and say, you know, San Luis, this is November, yada yada. 8 miles full stop landing, or 8 miles to land, you know. Black Knight says, definitely going to have to do one with Gabriel's oboe when Just Flight released the 747-100 and X-Plane. No 111 though. Yeah, really looking forward to see that 747. But they're working on other stuff as well. I think they're working on the Avro, is it the 145, I think? And there's a number of other, like, we've heard it before, like, we're being told there's loads of aircraft coming out on X-Plane. They just haven't been released yet, but hopefully they'll still release them. Because, you know, some of the questions even in the chat there tonight was, you know, what's X-Plane's response to Microsoft going to be? Well, not much. They're working on Vulkan, and that in itself is a huge project. And the sim is running smooth. Like, this is Vulkan, and it, apart from like having the settings maxed out and trying to fly in London at night with scenery that isn't designed by Laminar, it's a third-party scenery, and still get 30 frames. That's very good. Like, we're sitting on 60 frames here now at the minute. So I think the answer is not necessarily going to come from Laminar. It should be from the third-party devs, the aircraft in which they can release into the sim. And we've all these add-ons that make it look good and make it sound good, and I think, you know, until Laminar are probably looking at the it was the BAE 146, yes, the RJ series. I think, didn't Quality Wings do one of them over in FSX? They were hugely popular. They were great airplanes to fly. But yeah, so like, I think until Laminar like release an X-Plane 12, I think we have to rely heavily on the third-party devs to keep the sim somewhat current, especially with some of the aircraft coming out. Like we're going to have the Torque Sim SR22 come out tomorrow, Saturday. I'll probably stream that. We're waiting on the... what's the name of it? The Falcon. That's due to come out. And we're still waiting on updates to many other aircraft. And the choppers. Like, it's... I'm still waiting on X-Rotors to update theirs. And the Gazelle that came out, there's one or two small issues with that Gazelle, but it's brilliant from JRX. That Gazelle is fantastic. Really like that one. So 30 minutes to Donegal. We are 200 nautical miles out, cruising nicely here at a flight level of 280 or 28,000 feet. Our indicated airspeed is 266 knots. Our outside air temperature is -40 up here, and our ground speed is 404 knots, so we're absolutely booting it along. Fuel, we're down to about a third of a tank, 465 pounds. And we're keeping the power on full whack for the moment. We can reduce that once we see the fuel drop below the 400s. But we should have enough fuel to get us through this. So the views from this altitude as we leave the coast, and all the aerials, you hear me, the wind farms beneath. Davin's back. Sorry, I'm back, just had to pop out there, that's quite okay. We've taken off from London City, we're at flight level 280 and we're heading towards Donegal. And the sim is back to its normal frame rate of about 60 frames. So the day is getting brighter. At this altitude the clouds definitely look a bit more compelling.
Oceanic, if you're ready to copy. Go for you, Oceanic. Yes, Mike Yankee. Clear Summer Mike Yankee to Maserati, routing Lasno, Vegas, Deimos, flight level 360, Mach decimal 77. Cross Lasno 1536, plus or minus 2 minutes. And the camera okay, Mike Yankee.
So yeah, so what's new in the world of X-Plane? What's new on the org? Flying low, the X-Plane 11 handbook. Has anyone checked that one out yet? We have Flight Tampa Vegas there, we have the sound pack for the 321.
Ryanair 23 Uniform Lima, your slot has been cancelled, so from stand 125, push and start approved. Push to point Bravo.
Just a few bits and bobs there.
Push start approved, point Bravo, QNH 1029. We have the living flight number on 23 Uniform Lima, thanks.
Delivery Ethiopian 504.
Ethiopian 504, good morning, go ahead.
Good morning, 315 Charlie, fully ready for pushing start.
Ethiopian 504, roger. Airborne frequency 132.575 and confirm first flyover waypoint in your FNS.
It's Oscar Echo and 132.575 copy.
Ethiopian 504, thank you. Monitor ground.
Davin says, yeah, London seems to do that alright, especially central. I flew into London Heathrow a few days ago and was down to about 20 frames. But was up by over 30 by the time I was over Manchester. Yeah, it's, and you know what, it wasn't just in X-Plane. Like, I've always found that the Dublin scenery and London scenery always struggled. whatever it was, and I always thought it was whatever way I had it set up, or
121.8, right?
I don't know what it was, but
Four, all short of link four.
it always seemed to suffer.
One decimal, so run a 23 uniform.
Ah, yeah, I forgot about them. The next things you're looking forward to in X-Plane would be the INI A300. That's coming along nicely. I was looking at that. The Q4, oh yeah, that Q400. I can't wait for that. As well as the BAE from Just Flight. Yeah, we were chatting about the BAE with the 146.
Down to 3 November, we just received our PDC. We are on.
So, I suppose if you were a developer now in X-Plane, there's no point rushing your products. There's like absolutely no point. Take time now. You're not going to, no matter what you're going to do, you're not going to take away from August 18th. So, maybe start looking at November, December to start releasing your own aircraft, because that'll, once the initial shock and awe of the other sim is there, it'll give us a chance to come back into X-Plane to see what we can do. And if Laminar are really watching this, they might have one or two kind of gems to come into the life cycle of X-Plane 11 as well. So don't uninstall it just yet, guys.
Delivery, very good morning to you. It's the Ryanair 9 Alpha Tango, westbound 120 Romeo with Lima, QNH 1029er. Clear to Munich, please.
Ryanair 9 Alpha Tango, good morning, clear to Munich. Flight plan route, Liffey 5 Alpha departure. Squawk 2172, airborne frequency 132.575, and slot time of 085.
Vroom vroom, good evening Hampus, how are you? Thanks for joining us. I was only chatting about you earlier on, about making flights and videos. I was telling the guys to check out the amazing Pilatus video you made for Thranda. It's coffee, if anyone asks. I was at a friend's barbecue last weekend, and we had like the mother of all craft beers. You can imagine in Ireland, like every house has now turned into like a craft brewery. So there's plenty of different beers you can get. Amazing stuff. And a little bit later towards the end of the night, because I had to drive the next day, I started drinking this non-alcoholic beer, Guinness Pure Brew, and it's so nice. I'm sure you can buy it if you Google it. All calm across the Irish Sea. We have the Isle of Man off here to our right hand side.
We have. We can create the first product.
Roger, Oscar Echo check, QH check, and 132.575. Are you ready for push?
We are ready for push 132, contact 5 everyone.
There's me waffling saying there's no brakes in this aircraft. What be that? Hmm. I don't see anything that controls it.
Very good morning, Shamrock 232, journey on 1048 left, company kilo unit 1029.
Interesting.
Shamrock 232, good morning, airborne frequency 132.575.
It's like the wing has it kind of designed in it.
12575 when airborne and monitoring 125, Shamrock 232, thanks, bye.
They're deep in thought. They're getting psyched up for this meeting. You know, it's a one chance only. She even painted her nails since the last flight. They were a different colour earlier on. Oh yeah, the VC-10, that's coming out. Yeah, there's tons of different aircraft due to come out. Ugh, sorry, we got very close. I didn't notice that. High Sierra edition. And we just fell out of the airplane. Anyway.
Very good morning, Dundee 6 Mike Echo Dash Delta 205 Romeo, information Mike 2H1030, request ground to Cardiff.
6 Mike Echo, good morning, clear to Cardiff, Delta 5 Alpha, squawk 4454, airborne frequency 135.650.
Do you know what plane I really miss and I wish it came into X-Plane? Do you remember A2A came out with the Connie? That thing was amazing. And that had a learning curve on it, like that was just like, what is this? It was awesome. How's our L fuel doing here? I want to bring that back a smidgen. They look like a rejected set of a Bond movie, yeah.
22 heavy passenger message.
Yeah, we should be ready in about 4 or 5 minutes, I think.
Alright, 22 heavy, roger, airborne frequency 135.650. Can I have the first waypoint on your FMC off?
What about it, Mr. Bond?
Okay, 135650 for departure frequency, and the first point we have is Oscar Echo.
228 firm.
Only for them, guys. Only for them. They have been the cornerstone of the entertainment for this evening. Them and One Tone. Davin says, yeah, the only thing we had in X-Plane that came close to the Connie was the PMDG one, the DC-6. The DC-6, yeah, like PMDG, their products on FSX and then prepared, and now soon enough to be over on Microsoft Flight. There is no denying they are an incredibly talented bunch of people. There's no denying that whatsoever. And I think for the X-Plane model that they tried, and you know, hats off to them, they tried it, they couldn't make it work. It wasn't going to work, and that was it. I was surprised that no one kind of took over the project, if that could have been possible, maybe buy the rights to it or whatever, like what we saw with V-Flight Air and Milsim. Like they took an already great product and made it better, even though they were part of the initial one. Like that aircraft from V-Flight Air is absolutely fantastic. That's it there. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm not too sure on the model of the DC-6. Well, the DC-6 still works absolutely fine in X-Plane 1110, I think. Around 1110. Or in X-Plane 10 itself. So, if people are... And again, like, to fly that DC-6, and okay, yeah, the texture work wasn't amazing, sure. But the fidelity of the aircraft and the systems, like... you'd nearly consider installing X-Plane 10 just to fly that. And that kind of backs up my point, as I was saying, about people saying, no, that's the end of X-Plane. It's not. Like, when you're going to have all these other aircraft coming in into this sim, you're going to want to fly them. You know, it's the same reason why I go into DCS if I want to fly an F-14 or I want to try a Huey or the F-18. And yes, you can get an F-18 and X-Plane, but you can't compare them. Like, it's just completely different. So we are under 17 minutes away, about 100 nautical miles. We're on our final leg. We're going to bring our altitude all the way down, and we'll transition Donegal at 3,500 feet. 242, we'll lock in that speed for a flight level change, and we'll bring our speed down, and we'll do a relatively fast descent here, because 100 nautical miles is nothing. So I reckon we'll hit about 3,000 feet per minute. Not as much, that seems to be a bit. We'll hold at that. Like a nosedive. This is a milestone stream again tonight. I think this is our longest one so far. 3 hours already. Jenny Mac. Have I ever landed into Enniskillen? Do you know, I don't think I have. Let's see. Enniskillen. Well, it's modelled. We can certainly fly over it. The sudden sight of home soil. As we're flying up here over Northern Ireland. The beautiful scenery that we have here. Black Knight says it was a banana. They didn't really they really didn't make the effort. They had their cash cow with P3D and milked it, as they will be charging what, $100 plus for the X-Plane 11 version. Yeah, definitely one way to look about it. I would err on the politically correct side, but what you say, I can't disagree with you. I can't argue with you. There are those who invested, like me, considerable money into that product, and it was abandoned after the 3rd update with X-Plane. But when it worked well. It was good. Descent is looking good here. We're at 2,500 feet per minute. Coming down on 17,000. Speed holding at 243.
Decimal 705, QNH 199. Bye-bye.
199, 175, 175.
We're less than 80 nautical miles out, within kind of 15-ish minutes, give or take.
Kozavi 15 Mike, 175, QNH 199. 705, 1009, 15 Mike. Kozavi 8 Bravo, Roger for him on the icing. Contact 121.705, QNH 199, good eye.
12705 and 1 Sorry, Bravo. Thanks. Kevin, 19 uniform, 10 Delta 2, food ready.
Roger, Kevin uniform, to be sure, know the icing, and you contact 11705.
There's 15,000.
Yeah, 109, affirm, know the icing, 121, 705, KLM, 19 uniform, right?
Right.
To think that we've managed to go from Shannon all the way to Cardiff, over to London, and then via Liverpool back to Donegal in about 3 hours. That's kind of handy. That's a good jet. You're very welcome, Hampus. Your work is absolutely fantastic. I was messing around with different transitions earlier on, you know. And this kind of stuff, you know, this is kind of the basic. You kind of zoom in and you add in these kind of effects. You know, and even if you want to make it go that little bit slower, this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's all depending on your subject matter, of course. And then I was showing this one. Where is it? Here in the background, right? Listen to this now. This was loud the last time. So this is for you, Hampus, and if you see this, right? Are you feeling it? That view, as in that frame locked, and then it's only a matter of like, you know, cutting that plane out and then changing your textures underneath. And that music that's not licensed. I reckon we approach Laminar towards the end of the year and do our own version with whatever new features they're going to have. Anyway, that's enough of that. Papa says, what have you been up to today? Today I was working today, driving my desk, and I had to get tyres today for my motor car because it needed tyres. And apart from that, it's been relatively uneventful. What about yourself, dude? How are things? Did you have a good day considering it's Friday? Come down nearly at 8,000 feet, approaching 50 nautical miles. Yeah, that song was on Epidemic, and if you want the name of it, It's called Our Last Stand, and it's from Formant X. Our Last Stand. It gets a little bit hot and heavy later on in it, but the intro is very close to the other thing. Hamas, are you over on our Discord? You're more than welcome to join in.
Sorry, 1160,
Correct, Alexander 75 Charlie. Contact 121.705, QNH 1009. Goodbye.
1217.
Yeah, there's licensing with Epidemic, so you kind of have to be a subscriber or a paid user to it. But we can certainly look at the affiliation of it, if you catch my drift. So if there's a project you're working on, and if it's something I can do a bit with you, I'll need to check that out, but I imagine you can. I imagine you can.
Good morning. 76 Juliet, Bravo 15 ready.
760, that's hello. Information Romeo, QNH 1009, I got the ground, 11705. Goodbye.
Hampus has joined our Discord. We've gone from 0 to hero in about 24 hours, guys. This is great. Any videos you have, if you have any questions or tech questions or whatever, screenshots or anything at all, we'll use the Discord just to kind of keep it our own place. And the more content we can get in there for ourselves, the better. And for anyone else on this channel, be it, you know, screenshots, videos, fact-finding missions, general information, songs, singing. It's just a place to hang out. Because you know, there's a number of tutorial videos I've been wanting to do. Not necessarily now for just X-Plane, but obviously I want to look at what Microsoft Flight is going to have. And hardware reviews, because I have a ton of it now. As in of all the Thrustmaster stuff. So if you guys are going to be interested in picking up some of the Thrustmaster stuff, well sure, just ask around. So we are getting very close to our final destination for this evening. Landing lights and passenger notices can go back on. We are about 10 minutes away from Donegal. We're within 40 nautical miles. Habba said, you've had a pretty good day, went to visit 3 castles and finished a website. 3 castles? Where were these castles? Where were said castles? And 3 of them. Look at that scenery. It's beautiful. One would want to be careful approaching Donegal because there's a big massive mountain range in between us. So let's hold our altitude here.
Hello, Ground 351, start up the roof, Romeo bij de QNH 1009, taxi out, 11705, goodbye.
11705 and QNH 1009, okay, 1351.
West of Stockholm, Sweden, pretty close to Arlanda, Sweden's biggest airport, so I got to do some plane spotting as well. Nice! Very nice. I hope the weather was pleasant. It's been something out of a thriller movie here. Although it's kind of warm, but like it's just dull and grey and rainy. Oh yeah, that's nice scenery. Sunny and clear, that's what I like to hear, man. That's what I like to hear. Look at that.
Portugal 669, hello, information is Romeo QNH 1009, contact ground, 1705, goodbye. So, Romeo QNH 1009 and
Right lads, that peak in the distance. Who can name it?
Goedemorgen, Orange 7 Bravo, information Romeo QNH 1009, contact ground, 121.805. Contact ground, 11805, QNH 1009, looking for Orange 7 Bravo.
Davin says should be coming, as I hit my microphone, Davin says we should be coming over his house fairly soon. Give us a wave. Be sure you do that. We'll sound exactly like this. That's what we'll sound like, so don't miss it when it happens. Mount Errigal, that's the one. Very good. I hope. Hampus, what car do I drive? I drive a Skoda Superb. And they are a big car. They are superb. What about yourself? What wheels do you have, man?
KLM 1001, information Romeo QNH 1009, contact 11805. 11805, hands up, 101.
We're about 5 minutes away now. "20 nautical miles. There's no wind over here, which is strange. We're Donegal. Most people in Donegal have the same type of hairstyle, this horizontal Mohican kind of thing. It's just windy up there. Yeah, that's too bad, Hampus, but don't worry, man. You have like so much time to be driving. What would be your ideal first car? It is superb to drive, but this is funny hour, guys. This is when it all starts happening. The jokes start rolling.
Batavia 6727, information share and QNH 1010, contact 11805, bye-bye. QNH 1010, 11805, goodbye, Batavia 6727.
A Porsche Cayman. Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't say no to a Porsche Cayman. This is some pretty scenery coming in here. Very nice. What do you reckon, guys? Very nice scenery, isn't it? V states all the way, or V countries all the way. Okay, we are on a 10-mile final. We're going to disengage our autopilot. So we have a visual of the runway ahead of us, which we do. So we're going to make for a left approach. 220. Bring that speed back. Yaw dampener can come off.
Goedemorgen, information share aan de Q&A 1010, contact 11705. 1010 for the Q&A and 11705, helemaal op.
That is amazing scenery. Now the mesh wouldn't be, you know, a bajillion% accurate, but it's still pretty.
8318, we are ready at Bravo 31.
Jet 8318, good morning, information share aan de Q&A 1010.
A Dodge M4S Turbo, yes, I agree.
83180,
I approve of the Dodge. Glenveigh National Park, yes, that is correct. Where's the airport gone? Do. There it is. There's a lot of Irish people in here. Then Davin says, we're multicultural here. We are multicultural.
Lufthansa 5 Alpha, good morning. Can you please confirm the airside need to expect, please? Lufthansa 5 Alpha, you can expect our ND1 Echo departure 18 left. 18 left, ND1 Echo, Lufthansa 5 Alpha, thank you.
Okay. 2,500 feet. Everything looking hunky-dory here at the minute. Keeping our descent just the way we like it.
Goedemorgen, Ken op 933 vanaf 94 en ik wist daar de push. Ken 933, goedemorgen, information share at the Q&A 1010, hold position in contact 11705. Q&A 010 en 11705, Ken 933, oi.
Okay, 140 knots. First notch of flaps. Bring our landing gear down. There's our Dragon plane out.
Goedemorgen, Alpine 92 Tango Whiskey, Hotel 6 for the reading. Alpine 92 Tango Whiskey, bit delivery slot, I will call you 3 minutes. Roger, Alpine 92 Tango Whiskey.
A little bit bumpy in places, but we're okay. Many thanks, Hampus. Have a good night, dude, and we'll catch you on the next one. We're on the glide slope, runways in sight. Glide path or glide slope? It's pretty much the same, like. Is it a matter of opinion? second notch of flap here. Bring our speed right down.
Contact 11805.
Zulu 1010, 11805, can I have 6 Zulu by?
Just remember this scene, guys, in about 3.5 weeks' time.
Ben met Transavia 1 Alpha, Charlie 14 ready.
Transavia 1 Alpha, information share at the QNH 1010. Contact 11705, bye bye.
11705, Transavia.
Black Knight, you are well travelled, I'd say. Sweden, it is certainly a country I would like to visit. They make good trucks out there. A little bit high, but we'll correct that. Flaps are full.
Alpine 92 Tango Whiskey, information share at the QNH 1010. Contact 11805.
1010, 11805, Canada, Alpine 92 Tango Whiskey.
Throttles to idle. Mind the float here now. Keep it on center line.
Good morning, Transavia 3 Echo, Delta 54.
And touchdown.
Transavia 3 Echo, information share at the QNH 1010. Contact 11805.
From 805 and 1010 on the QNH, bye bye, Transavia 3 Echo.
Keep ourselves on the center line here. Bring our flaps back in. Bit of manual braking here as well, just to give us that little bit of a help to slow us down. I wish it was this clear when you flew up in February. Yeah, unfortunately Donegal doesn't always have the nice visual approaches. Everything's usually instruments up here.
Kilo, good day, hold position, information share at the QNH 1010. Contact 11705.
QNH 1010, Sierra 121-705, or 73 Kilo back.
In Donegal, I believe it's pronounced visual. No luxuries on the glide for 0321. Has a localizer, but that's it. Interesting.
Turn over the mark, get him 79 Mike, Charlie 9 ready.
So,
79 Mike.
the biggest question for the night, guys, is
Contact 11705, bye bye.
will they manage to sell more Botox? That's what it comes down to. Get ourselves turned around here and back taxi. Well, are you all ready? Your notes are prepared.
Really, really good morning, Libas 37 November Mike, stand Bravo 35, we're ready to start the push.
Base 57 November Mike, hold position.
Flaps are back in.
Share at the QNH 1010. Contact 11705.
11705, we connect 1010, Libas 37 November Mike, bye bye.
Yeah.
Good morning, 10452 and Parking Bay Romeo A1, we are ready.
10452, information Tango, the QNH 1010, hold position, contact 121.705.
Okay, information Tango 1010 and goedemorgen, dit is 16, correction, dit is 8811, stand Delta 16 ready.
Dit is 8811, information tank for QNH 1010, contact 11705, bye bye.
881010 and 11705, this is 8811 Maxim.
So our long and lonely taxi back to the ramp here in Donegal.
Good morning, Alpine 7959 Ottawa.
Where our local time is
We are fully ready.
0524.
121.805.
About 1010, 1105, flight 2959. Goedemorgen, KLM 1071, Echo 4 ready.
KLM 1071, goedemorgen. Information tank naar de Q&A center and contact on 1805.
Ben and 118.
Get our landing lights off now, just use our taxi lights coming in.
07.
It's a nice scenery, this one. The GAA pitch off here in the corner.
1471, goedemorgen.
That's where we'll go. Not to play now, just to say we were on the pitch. We'll walk the pitch. That's about it. Air Alps. Or Air Apps. Interesting. Get ourselves parked into the corner here. This is the VIP side of things. Okay, so let us see here. Landing lights off. Collision lights can come off. You can drop the power to the right and to the left. Seatbelts can come off. And we have toggle our yokes. We shall get our doors opened. Our people's in the plane at the moment. We shall get them off the plane. Good luck to you and best of luck, and see how that meeting goes. And then for the rest of us, we need to de-icers to off, beacon, nav, air conditioning unit can be deactivated. We have our gens can go to off, standby instruments to idle, avionics off. And last but not least, battery off. Awesome. Well guys, there we have it. A night of nights. That was eventful. We flew originally from Shannon Airport over Waterford onto Cardiff, over to London City, back via the Liverpool to cast down our congratulations on them winning the Premier League, and then our merry way back to Donegal. Well, I have to say, that was a blast, lads. 3 hours and 46 minutes. I will most positively be divorced. But it's been good. It's been fun. Alrighty, so tomorrow I'm expecting the release of the Torque Sim SR22. I'll probably jump on for a stream and we have a look at it. It'll be interesting to see. As we give myself a shameless plug here with me fancy graphics. But until the next time, thanks so much for watching, guys. Look after yourselves and we'll see you really soon. Take care.